Hey, what's going on out there, everybody? We are here to give you guys an official review for, as you can see, X. This is an A24 official feature. It will be releasing out later on this weekend, and this is directed by Ty West, starring Mia Goth, Jenna Ortega, Kid Cudi, Brittany Snow, and many others. I have here with me co-host Jorge. What's going on, brother?
What is going on? This was a doozy today.
It was a doozy, and I did not anticipate what this was because I honestly had never seen the trailer for it. So I went in this completely fresh. I did not know there was gonna be. I didn't know. I knew it was a horror, but I didn't know it was a horror that was circling around a group of people trying to make a porno
Yeah.
in the middle of nowhere. And we got what we got. Now, we do want our other co-host Lucas to check this out, so maybe we'll be back for a spoiler-filled review later. But for now, this is going to be a non-spoiler review. So, Jorge, what are your impressions of this film?
All right. Wow, we're just jumping right into it. So it's a I actually really enjoyed it, and I'm not a huge horror fan. But I definitely thought that the film delivers. It's shot it's shot beautifully. I really enjoyed the style that they used while they were shooting. But overall, it was just a good film. Like, you know, forget the whole porno aspect of it or horror, but it was done right. It wasn't cheesy, at any point. And I really enjoyed the acting in it. Oddly enough, because usually in most horror films it's just very cheesy and blah. But I mean, you guys kind of heard in the beginning like who's in this, and it's not like your D-listers, like a lot of these people have done really good movies, which is interesting. But no, overall, I think this was just really well done. I'm still trying to like process all of it, like everything we saw, and trying not to make this a spoiler. But it's definitely, I guess for me, it's very unexpected, and I came into this kind of like you, where I knew a little bit of the synopsis, but I never saw any trailers or anything for it. So it definitely it shook me a little bit in the sense of like I wasn't expecting what I saw. So from that regards, I'm like, yeah, they did their job.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I mean, even just showing this image right here, this is a classic horror shot, and I'm not a horror aficionado. Like I look at horror, I've seen a lot of horror, but the way that Ty West decided to take a lot of the different moments, like sometimes there were moments where just kind of like this, it was a focus shot where you can kind of barely see somebody there. Sometimes it'd be like an aerial shot, like somebody swimming. Like there's an amazing scene in the very opening where somebody's just swimming in a lake, and the setup is well done also, because so it's not just some stuff. Yeah, there's jump scares, but a lot of the times it's just very creative ways of surprising the audience for them not to anticipate how it's going to go. Because taking that as a good focal point, a person swimming and you see something behind them, and you're like, wait, what is going on?
Yeah.
What is about to happen? And you don't know until the very last moment. And that goes for everybody throughout. So I think that even down to, I think you have picked it up, where a lot of the blocking sometimes, like he would have moments where it focuses in on a person. It might be a happy moment, and then it would flash to somebody else doing something very horrific or dealing with something very dramatic. And then sometimes it would kind of pan out and go like that, like kind of really like the classic way they used to do like horror. Like there were some moments that reminded me of the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre. There was a moment like on the lake, like I described, It reminded me of like, Friday the 13th or, Jason. So I think that he's taking from some very classic elements, but he's kind of making it his own. And I guess where we got to talk about is the characters. Me and Lucas went and watched the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the one with Jessica Biel. And a lot of people, gave it a lot of flack, but we rewatched it, right? And the thing about that film is that it was well shot, it was well executed, and it was pretty well done generally. But the problem with it was that you felt like Jennifer Biel or Jessica Biel's character was setting everybody up. Like she was being very dumb or people were being very dumb. In this movie, everybody's pretty human. Like it's not like somebody's just trying to be very dumb for the sake of it, or somebody like everything that's kind of happening. If you're looking at it from their point of view, they are out in the middle of nowhere. They are trying to shoot this porno. They are, trusting, these people to, allow them to be able to use the occupy the space to be able to shoot it and in a certain amount of time. And every single one of them have their own prime directive. They have something that they want. Where if it's Kid Cudi, like he kind of wants to be the star. If it's Brittany Snow, she's kind of like, the pretty one, but feeling like, there are so much more things that she should be doing, but she's not. And then, like I said, Mia Goth, she is the main lead. She is the main star. And the funny thing is she's playing two specific roles. Yeah. And we're not going to divulge the other role, but she's doing a lot. She's doing some heavy-handed work on the acting side. And I was curious from your perspective, like, do you agree with me as far as like the characters or the way they played the characters or even how they were written, I guess?
Yeah, no, I definitely do agree. I think it's nice watching a horror movie that it's not like what you expect to happen happens. Like you don't have like the dumb person running into like, the forest for no reason type of stuff and then getting like, mauled and things like that. Like throughout the whole thing, everyone was genuinely acting like a normal person would,
Right.
Just some of them just being helpful, some of them, doing, whatever it is that they were doing, it was logical, right. And it made sense, and even here, like I'm still thrown off that Brittany Snow was in this movie because every time I see her, I just think like Pitch Perfect,
right.
But even like this scene was done so well, and kind of what you were talking to before, where the camera would kind of almost like slide in and out from like this scene to like another stuff that's happening elsewhere. It's just it was done. It was very, very calculated the way that it was shot, because even I don't know if you picked up on it, how some of it was. It almost felt like it was shot in a VHS, and then like an old school camcorder, and they would blend that in with obviously like cameras of today, but just like seeing the grittiness of some of the shots were, I think for me, added so much to it, which I thought was just really, really neat. But no, the way that the characters acted, for once, like it was believable. Like, because some of these guys were genuinely just good people. Just people needed help. Cool, let's go help. Like right. it wasn't a big deal. So I really enjoyed that aspect of it for sure.
Yeah, and again, there are characters in there that do suspect things, but some of them may be under the influence of something, or maybe one of them are in emotional distress, causing them to react. And anybody that's under extreme emotional duress or whatever the circumstances, you never know you can never predict what direction they're going to go. And I think that was because there was a character, that was kind of surprised or ambushed in a way at a vehicle. And, their reaction to what they saw was very believable. I probably would have done the same exact thing. And I was kind of like, this is a pleasant surprise. And again, so the movie itself is just a good horror movie. This is the weird part. The movie is a good to great horror film, and they're shooting a bad porno.
Yes.
But they're trying to make a good, authentically good pornography. That's the goal. But this is the weird thing. After the movie is over with, you get to see the porno that they kind of create, and you're like, oh man, it's not that bad. It's not that bad from what you've seen in the the 79, I believe.
Yeah.
So I mean, the way that they created it actually achieved what they were trying to do, but the circumstances were messed up. So there are moments to also have fun with this. Like there's some dark humor at times. But then they do touch on some serious stuff too. It's really weird, bro. I can't really place this movie because there are moments and scenes that we're just leaving out. And this movie is very dark and gory. Like when I mean gory, there's a scene of a cow on the side of the road that just been wrecked. And they show it all, like veins and parts. And that sets the tone for you to understand that is the entirety of the movie. Like you're gonna get all the gory details completely. So this is not for kids.
One holds back.
No, this is not for kids at all. And of course, we talked about the pornography. Yes, there are a lot of explicit nudity and sex scenes. So I mean, if that makes you very uncomfortable, know that going ahead of time, know what you're gonna get. But man, I don't know. It's hard to place this movie. It's hard to place it, honestly.
Yeah, for me, it's believable horror, and like even this shot, like this was just so well done,
right?
And it's such a simple shot, but I mean, it's creepy. Her looks, the whole 9 yards. Like there's a lot of. This is one of those movies that's it's a great movie, and there are some shots in it and some stills that are haunting.
Yeah.
Like just straight up haunting. Like you could pause this movie in so many places and it is creepy what you are looking at.
Right.
Oh man. But yeah, no, this one's hard to not talk about spoilers.
Yeah, we're gonna have to come back because
it's definitely you got to dance around a lot, of this movie. But no, I will say in terms of the location of this entire movie, realistically, is done in 2 buildings. It's like that's it, and it doesn't feel claustrophobic at all. Like it feels like it's actually too big at times. When you look at some of the shots and just the way it's done, but no, given like we just finished it, so there's a lot still in my just still decompressing all of it, but this was good. Like the more I'm thinking about it, it's like the more I think you said it best. This is a really good, to great horror film and a really terrible porno.
Yeah. It really is. It really is. Because, I mean, again, this is not a big cast. And, most horror films, you kind of like, oh, you check the box. Let's see who's going to last, who's not going to make it. And it's not even so much that you care about each character on an individual level. It's more so like they seem human. You know what I mean? Like, I think that if you can convince me, this person is just a human, and, it's just, man, like, I think the other side of it that we're not talking about is the circumstance of what they're going through. And why they're going through it. That is where it starts to get really tricky to talk about. because there's a shot. I'm just gonna post this really quick, and then I'm gonna leave it at that. That I think that shot will really help put a lot of this to, like, this is a very creepy shot. And I'm not going to give you any context. I'm not going to tell you if this is real or not or a dream, but that is when the chips hit the fan.
Yep.
That is what it is on 10. And I mean it, like, continuously. So yeah, let's just, I think we just got to just end this and come back to it. I've never kept so much from a review before. What do you rate this, man? We'll go to A to F instead of trying to do 1 to 10.
Honestly, for me, like, it's a solid B. Like, I thoroughly enjoyed it. I actually wouldn't mind watching it again. It's and I think it's not more for, now that we know, like, how it all plays out, it'll be neat to just enjoy, like, the filming of it, Like, it was just, there were so many little aspects that I'm sure I missed just in the way that it was shot. But no, this is definitely a B. I mean, even the music was, the soundtrack was, there wasn't much soundtrack, but even just the audio, that the way that they were adding noise to it, I thought was really well done. Like, yeah, this is, for me, a solid B. Like, very solid B minus, it's almost at that B plus range, just not there yet. How about you?
Yeah, no, I'm gonna rest this at an X. I'm just joking. This is easily a B plus to almost an A minus for me, and I don't really go for a lot of horror. But one thing that I don't know if you saw it, Jorge, but Fear Street on Netflix. So the Fear Street series was a trilogy. But one of the things I loved about Fear Street is I got behind some of the things that they were doing. Like, they tried to not reinvent the wheel, but pay homage. But then they tried to tell their own narrative. And that's what this movie is doing in its own respective rights. Like, there's a lot of nods to classic horror. But then there's a lot of inventive ways they make it very different as well. Whether it's like the cinematography or the score or just the natural human element. But then they do something with the antagonists of this that make it even more fascinating because you don't truly comprehend them. And I think that makes for the best kind of villains. When you can't really say, oh, okay, I know it makes this person tick. Like, no, I don't. And it's fascinating because the director seems as though I think that they're going to tackle a little bit of that later on this year, which we'll go into, I guess, in the spoiler review, because I'm not even going to divulge any of that. But B plus to A minus. Definitely go and check out X. But again, it's got a lot of nudity, a lot of sex, a lot of drug usage, a heck of a lot of gore. Like, this is that R-rated movie back in the 80s or the 70s you're not supposed to see. So, but for the horror cinephiles and those people that want to see a decent horror film, I think that this is right up your alley. Just beware of all the things we just talked about.
Yeah, and definitely stay till the end, because there is an end credit scene at the very, very end, which is dope. I definitely, that alone was cool, just being able to see that. Yeah. Stay. I'm gonna shut up now. Bye, guys. Make sure you like, subscribe, hit the bell button. We'll be back. Peace. Definitely. Filing out the top of I can see the skyline, 50-mile radius on the timeline.